We're looking at what I consider the Festival of Spring. It harkens back to my youth. A lot of people, including myself, get spring fever. And I literally had to go to bed for a whole day when I was a teenager. Being a son of a nurseryman, I learned when I was 15 years old how to identify the plants, and every new plant that came into bloom was something that I would look up in my dictionary and find not only the English name, but also the Latin names. These are some of my most favorite plants because they were my initiation into springtime. And I repeat this every single year. And the same elation that I experience occurs when the flowers start to bloom. You might say it's part of my DNA. And it's something I truly don't want to forget, and I don't think I ever will forget. These are some of my most favorite plants because they're engraved in my memory. And so, especially this year, I have been anticipating these blooms of these various plants that we're looking at. This video was taken originally 20 years ago in my old neighborhood. In the background we saw St. Matthew's Church, and my house and office was across from St. Matthew's Church, which we see in the background. Here is my original garden at the office. Because I'm near a urban area, we had a lot of graffiti on the walls, so I decided to put up some murals. And a listener donated some plants. She gave me hostas, which are not out of the ground as of this point that we're looking at. We see a rabbit cage in the corner. And lunaria, we see these little sprouts of lunaria, which are perhaps the earliest that will grow in a shade garden. And of course my Buddha, which I pay reverence to every springtime, as well as other parts of the year. And here we're looking at a shrub that, quite frankly, I don't remember. Here we see some myrtle ground cover that eventually would cover my entire garden because of the amount of shade that we had in the area. And of course, this garden, this was the beginning. This is an early PGM, which was not part of my youth. This plant, when I was a teenager, was not around. It was a new introduction later. So that garden would have more and more plants as time went on. Cynthia reminds me of also another row of spirea that we had at the nursery. And we called it bridal wreath. And I often remember that plant as well. Here's some other parts of the neighborhood with the Japanese Indrama. The Japanese Indrama is an unusual plant because it starts out with a yellow leaf, turns to an orange, and then eventually to a green with that beautiful flower. And of course, later on in the year, we'd have the lilac coming into bloom. Just some of the musings of yours truly, and thank you for joining me.